There are many Democrats who are very worried today, the day before the 2020 election, that it will turn out like it did in 2016. They are worried that they are getting their hopes up just like they did 4 years ago, and that they will be very saddened and disillusioned when they wake up the next morning to find out that Donald Trump is still president. And if not, that he will find a way to steal the election. He may still find some loopholes, legal or otherwise, to steal it away, but it's less likely if former Vice President Joe Biden has a big win. The bigger the win, the less chance Trump will have to turn it in his favor. What he needs is a close electoral college loss to fight it, and he needs that to happen in the states his campaign and Republicans have been targeting with lawsuits to not extend the vote. And for it to be something that winds up in the Supreme Court, it needs to be more than just his complaints. It needs to be where they can prove that in states that could tip the electoral vote in his favor, that the vote counts should not have been prolonged because of concerns of mail-in votes. And they have to get the Supreme Court to decide that in their favor. Already, 2 of those cases have failed in the Supreme Court, and 1 went against the Democrats, even before Election Day. The Supreme Court believed if an extension was set by a federal judge, that they shouldn't go up against it, but if it was decided on a state or local level, then they would consider it. Adding new Justice Amy Coney Barrett could tip the vote in Trump's favor, and that's what he's counting on, why he nominated her, and why the Senate pushed through the vote to get her on board. She wasn't ready to rule on these cases last week, so skipped them. She would not tell Democrats in her confirmation hearing whether she would recuse herself. In some cases where the vote was 5-3, her vote would make it equal, meaning the lower court ruling would be upheld. On the vote that was 4-4, she could tip it in her favor. But there are many things to get there. It has to be a close vote in that state, has to be a state that extended voting, and it has to be a vote extension set on a state or local level. And that's if one state can be the difference, as it was for Florida in 2000 to tip the race away from Al Gore and to George W. Bush. Aside from that, while he is saying he may not give up, remember how egotistical he is. A loss showing him how many people do not like him, means he'll be irrational. We don't know what he will do. But the Constitution says he has to leave the White House on January 20th. If he is not elected, he has to leave. Former FBI Director James Comey made an announcement just days before the 2016 election that the Bureau was reopening the investigation into Clinton's emails. The people who were unsure about her as their choice, the ones not firmly with her, ran the other way or just put up their hands and shrugged. They either didn't vote at all, voted third party, or voted for Trump. As much as Trump has tried to turn his Hunter Biden story into 2020's email scandal, it just isn't happening for him. Another aspect of Trump's win is that people were looking for something different. Tired of bureaucracy, they wanted a non-politician in office. If many people know that, Biden will win the popularity and electoral votes. The people who haven't learned that could tilt the vote. It all depends on how many of them there are who now see things much differently than 2016. They have said there are a record number of first-time voters. It has to either be people who are desperate to get him out or desperate to keep him in. It doesn't seem likely that it's the latter.